Ladies and gentlemen, after 7 years of stealth development, we're excited to bring you a company and service that will change the landscape of the games industry. To tell you the full story, please welcome noted technology pioneer and entrepreneur, creator of QuickTime Web TV and MOVA, Steve Perlman.
All right. Thank you very much for coming. So we've got a really exciting show today, and I think you can imagine that it's been pretty hard to keep this thing as quiet as long as we have. So 7 years, think about it. The first time we presented this idea to a game publisher was in 2002. Now, people say the video game industry can't keep secrets. I beg to differ. Now, there are other industries maybe can't keep secret, but that's a different story. But anyways, so we are really excited because this is an opportunity to really revolutionize the way we think about games, the way that publishers develop games, and the way that consumers use games. And we think it's really going to change things hugely eventually, and even in the short term, very, very significantly. So what we're here to talk about, you've probably heard of the name already, is a new company and a new game service, and they're called OnLive. So what exactly is OnLive? OnLive is games on demand. So there's been other services that have introduced games on demand technology of one form or another. This is really different than all of those. In fact, it's really, really different than the kind of experience that you'll get from a console or you get from a PC or any kind of other gaming system. For one thing, we're talking about the latest high-end titles. So the same titles that you would get for your console at a retailer are available for OnLive within the same retail window that they'd normally be available for your console. And not only that, but we're making the games available instantly. So you want to play these games, you just hit the button, the game plays. There's no downloading, there's no patching, there's no getting physical media to spin up, none of that. You just click on the game and it goes. I mean, that alone we think is transformational. And then we're going to eliminate basically the concept that you have to be on a specific kind of device in order to play a certain kind of game. So basically, if you have OnLive, even if you only have an entry-level PC, no GPU, or an entry-level Macintosh, with a little 1 megabyte plug-in for your browser, 1 megabyte, not 1 gigabyte, off you go. You can play the most advanced games there are. And if you have a TV, then with a small micro console that we'll be introducing in just a second, that's it. You have access to all the games on OnLive on your TV. So one of the things that you get from OnLive, which is incredible, is unprecedented performance. We have watched video games go from Pong all the way to where they are now, where they're approaching realism in some cases. But even those really, really great games, you have to have a totally tricked out PC in order to play. Now, with OnLive, you can have access to the highest end games there are, and beyond that, we can now have games created for OnLive that go beyond what is practical in any sense to deliver in the home in terms of computing hardware. So it's really revolutionary. And then when you get the hardware in your home, you have your entry-level PC or Mac, or you have your micro console, it doesn't get obsolete. As the games get better over the years, as the technology improves, so does your experience, and you can use the exact same hardware you have. So we talked about how we get a PC or a Mac to use OnLive. Well, how about a TV? So I'm very pleased to introduce to the world the OnLive micro console. This right here is now the most powerful console that exists. And it's also the least expensive as far as we know. And basically, it is so inexpensive that we can either offer it at a very low price, or we can offer a service package where you get it for free. And it never needs to be upgraded, as I mentioned before. So this is it. So how do you hook this thing up? It doesn't take very much. If you have DSL, cable modem, or fiber, just plug it into Ethernet port, hook up the HDMI to your TV or your stereo system. And if you don't have surround sound through HDMI, you just hook up an optical connector to your audio system, and off you go. Then the other side, we have USB ports. You just plug in your favorite USB controller. If you'd rather play with a keyboard or a mouse, no problem. It is that simple. So the other thing about the micro console is that if you want, you can also use a wireless controller. And so the OnLive wireless controller as you can see here, not only has a standard controller layout, but it also has media control buttons. So you could do fast forward, rewind, and most notably, record. Now this is really important when you begin to see how the OnLive service is designed. Video is very, very integral to every single thing you do. It's constantly in motion. All right, so I think we've had a lot of claims about how cool this thing is. So let's tell you about how this works and why it works. So the OnLive service basically has you running most of the games in the server center. So the game is not, even though you have your PC, your Mac, or your microconsole in your home, basically all you need there is the lowest end systems, because all we're really doing is decompressing the video that comes back from the server center. They say, well, wait a minute, that's going to introduce a huge amount of lag. We've all seen what video looks like going through the internet. Not so with the way OnLive is set up. First of all, we have extremely high performance servers. So the kind of servers that we're running are beyond what a totally tricked out PC would be in the home. They're the fastest processors. They may have one or more GPUs. I mean, we certainly have some low-end servers for low-end games, but for the most part, we have very, very high-performance servers. And then they also have a special card plugged into them, and this has custom silicon in it that allows us to go and very, very rapidly compress the video coming out of the servers. So basically, if you're using the system, you hit a button on the controller, you hit a button on your keyboard or your mouse, it goes up the internet, the game calculates the next frame of the video game, and then using our very fast video compression technology, it streams it down to your home. That entire loop is so fast that it's below the threshold of human perception, and from the point of view of the gamer, it feels like the game is being played locally. I know that sounds pretty crazy, okay, and for anyone who's worked with video, it may sound like that just can't be possible. We're about to show you how. So let's talk about interactive video compression and why it's different than any other video compression that's been done before. Now, when we developed QuickTime technology back in the 1980s at Apple, it was actually before we even knew exactly what video compression was. I mean, it was a brand new concept. The word video compression was a new word on people's lips. And we had to go and say, all right, what kind of material is going to go through here? What we were thinking about then, and what has been thought about when other people have developed video compression algorithms, is linear media, whether it's motion pictures or television shows or your own private videos. The idea is that it proceeds linearly. So if there is latency, it doesn't really matter. And so all of these algorithms were designed with a big lag included. It's typically a half second to 3/4 of a second. Now for a movie, if you're watching it on YouTube and you hit pause, and then it takes a half second before it actually pauses, you hardly even notice. For a video game, though, that's absolutely unacceptable. Now, all of us have used video conference systems. You ever waved your hand and then see a little bit of a lag? That is that lag that's inherent in conventional video compression algorithms. So what we do at OnLive is this new OnLive video compression algorithm, which is extremely low latency. In fact, the latency through the compression algorithm, instead of being 500 milliseconds, which would be a half second, or 750 milliseconds, 3/4 of a second, is about 1 millisecond. It's transformational. And you really got to see it work in order to believe that it works. And it took a long time to get it to work, as you've seen. Okay, so the other thing about this algorithms is we knew what we were designing for. We were designing for video games. Video games have a lot faster action, a lot more changes going on in the scene than a conventional movie. So we had to make it so it could transition very quickly and handle those kinds of changes. The other thing we really knew we wanted to do is make it so that it could be decompressed on an entry-level PC or Mac, or on a very, very inexpensive microconsole with just a single piece of silicon. So the algorithm was designed very specifically with minimizing the cost in the destination decompressor. Okay, so how much bandwidth do you need to make this algorithm run? Well, if you're okay with standard definition TV, which would be like Wii resolution, well, you need a connection that'd be marketed as a 1.5 megabit connection. It's probably a little bit less than that, but that's okay. If you want HDTV, 720p 60, then you need about a 5 megabit connection. And if it's a little bit less than that, that's okay. If you have those, and an increasing percentage of the United States and the world homes do have that, you're all set. All right, so how about a look at the OnLive game service? It's actually pretty crazy, the amount of time it's taken us to get here, that I'm able to actually say, well, to the public, here is the OnLive game service. Without further ado, here we go. So that intro was not just for your benefit. That is the way it starts up. Why? Because in the service, you have wicked fast computers with a lot of 3D processing capability. And you see this live video here? I mean, some of the things are pre-recorded things that we use to fill in, but some of them are live streams from people actually playing on the service. Video is trivial for us now, okay? Because all the video is generated in the service center, and we've designed the system so we can route the video to the different servers, and they all can pick it up and display it in little windows as we're doing here in the user interface. All right, so let's jump in. Suppose I want to play a game. Click Games. All right, I got a big list of games here I can go and choose from. So suppose I'm kind of curious. I want to go or try out Frontlines, Fuels of War from THQ. All right, so one of the first things you notice are these little thumbnails here at the bottom. These little thumbnails are actually little windows showing people playing the game. Will probably be the top gamers. So the first thing I can check out to decide whether I want to buy this game is how the best players are playing. What a great way to market a game. Then I want to check out the trailer. Fine, click that. Watch the trailer. There's no download time. There's no waiting. There's no buffering. The trailer just plays. All right, so I say, well, all right, maybe not right now. I think maybe I'll go and instead play a game that I've been playing a while before. And we have lots of different business models that we can use for selling games. And in this particular case, I'm going to get back to Prince of Persia from Ubisoft. And this is a game that I've rented before, and I think I'm going to rent it for a little bit longer. So now I've got a 5-day rental. I just go OK, OK, and then hit play. And there it is. We dive in, plays a little video before it starts. And then what it does, it brings me right to the pause menu where I left it when I finished my last rental of the video. OnLive remembers the game state for every single player as they're actually playing the games. So it's pretty cool, right? So I just hit resume game, and off we go. All right, so I can go and do this guy in. All right. Whoa. And then it's a good thing it's cueing me on things to do. Otherwise, I'm not so sure I'd be doing very well right now. All right. I have to finish this guy off. Come on. We have to move on. Yeah.
Bet you wish you'd opted for conversation now, don't you?
Yeah, don't you? All right. Great. So there we go. So anyways, yeah. Like you said. All right. Anyways, so really, playing games is that simple on OnLive. So you just saw a game that's a current game that's available. It's trivial for me to start it and resume it, and it's trivial for me to play it. Okay, so most of the presentation you're going to see here is the real stuff, and that it's the beta service you would try at GDC and so forth. I can't do a presentation without showing you a little bit of R&D. So the thing I'm about to show you is a prototype that we developed with OnLive's MOVA subsidiary. Now, that is one of the things we're announcing today, is that MOVA, which is a company that does facial capture, is actually a subsidiary of OnLive. Now, MOVA was at GDC for the last couple of years, and we actually had the first couple of movies come out that use MOVA technology, The Incredible Hulk and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It actually won an Academy Award for the terrific work that Digital Domain did in making Brad Pitt's face look completely real. So when you go and see these movies, you say, oh, those are awesome movies, but we're never going to see that kind of realism in a video game. I think you're mistaken. So here shows some work that we did at MOVA that shows the kind of realism that you'll be seeing soon in OnLive.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. Welcome to OnLive.
That's completely computer generated. And the next little segment, I think, is OnLive's answer to a Facebook invitation. I think I'd have better luck with this.
Hi, I'm Jennifer. Want to be my friend?
So there you go. I never get invitations like that on Facebook. I'm not sure why. But anyways, so there you go. And we've got some more Jennifer demos, actually, that you'll be able to see in the GDC booth. All right, well, great. So one of the things that we have also built into the OnLive service is community. And of course, we have friends. And you can go check out the videos from your friends. And one of my friends is this guy, go-to guy. Well, it turns out there really is a go-to guy at OnLive. And it's our chief operating officer. And he has really been just incredible in getting OnLive to where it is. He has a huge depth of experience in the video game industry. He used to be the CEO of IDOS. And he's brought an incredible amount of wisdom and also helped the people in the industry who have come to see OnLive to see, okay, it's a little different than what we've done before, but here's the benefits it will bring you. And he's also been a genuine friend and a terrific partner in what has been a very, very challenging startup. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mike McGarvey, Chief Operating Officer of OnLive.
Thank you, Steve. Nice to be here this evening. So Steve mentioned there's 3 ways to access the OnLive service. And you can see he showed a micro console hooked up to a television working seamlessly to access this wonderful world of rich media. I am going to show a PC running. Very low-end PC. I'm running a Dell Studio 15. Steve obviously is the smart one of the two of us, and so I need simplistic gaming. I gave up gaming PC long time ago. Couldn't keep up with the graphics cards, the complexity. But now, once again, through OnLive, I'll be able to access the same rich world through a small browser plugin available on onlive.com, which I click, and as you see, launches the OnLive service. So Steve mentioned a little bit about community. OnLive will support normal community features, such as leaderboards, tournaments, and so forth, but really want to take community to another level. If you see the rich video that Steve discussed, all these players will be live as we launch the service, and you can view any of them at any time. So I'm going to navigate to an area that Steve didn't quite get to, called the Arena. The Arena is our version of broadcast gaming. You can see all your friends play. You decide there's a game you're interested in watching. For instance, I'll go check out a Ubisoft game, Tom Clancy's Hawks, which is just releasing. One of the first flight sims to be out in a while. So enough watching. I think I want to play. So as Steve mentioned, on the service, my stuff is where all my saved games are. They carry with me through each experience, whether I'm on the television or the PC or the Mac. So I think Crysis, a game from Electronic Arts, which I think everyone knows is a very high-end game, never, ever, ever could run on a very low-end, sub-$700 PC. Now all of a sudden, in my saved games, I've got a version of Crysis. So here we are, running on a low-end laptop in 720p, and I think you can see that the graphics are absolutely stunning. So Steve, of course, can navigate and spectate me.
So one of the things you'll notice, this screen is hooked, the main screen is hooked up to the PC. This TV is hooked up to the micro console I was using before. Remember I was on Go-To Guy's page? Look what happened to the little window. It immediately, when he plays a game, I can see, oh, my friend is playing. And maybe I'll go full screen and watch him, and off you go.
Well, can I encourage you to join a multiplayer game, Steve?
I will try.
Steve's been practicing, so we'll test out his skill.
I think maybe I will try starting it up.
So as you can see, the fluidity of the mouse movement, the immediacy of the gun shooting, it feels like the game's running on a resident system, yet it's streamed from 50 miles away.
All right. Now, Mike, you know, we've always been good friends, and
We have.
I think this is just a friendly little jaunt through the tropics, right? That's
It
basically
is.
what you've got planned for me. And it's basically what I got planned for you.
Oh!
Oh,
He's
I'm
not
sorry.
playing fair.
Gee, you know, that was completely an accident. You know, I think we'll just go and have a little fun here. Oh, yes!
All right, the first time that's ever happened.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I got to
sure.
and he practiced a long
Okay.
time to actually do that. I said, how can you let a video game executive let Steve kill him? But
All right.
there you go.
So did you make a brag clip?
I did make a brag clip. So as
There
you
you
can
go.
see, you know, immediate immediate gameplay access. And now I'm going to jump back out and navigate back to my profile page. And there's a great feature on Live called brag clips. So anything you do something great, actually Steve should have taken the brag clip instead of mine. I'm not going to brag too much about that. So I'll go to my profile, and here you go. You can see the video I uploaded, my avatar, and sure enough, in brag clips, a moment I won't brag much about, but we captured the last 15 seconds of that session, Steve killing me. So I guess that means I'll be up for a raise this year since I let him kill me.
Look, as long as we got good health insurance, you're all set. Life insurance, maybe. Anyways. Anyways, I think you can see just how seamless it is. We're able to go and spectate each other. We're able to do multiplayer. We're able to go and save copies. Those brag clips are things that everyone can see. You know, today there are games that you could do spectating in, but think about it. You've got to have the other person running the game at the same time while you're spectating. This is a lot better way to check out a game if you're interested in it, and for a publisher, a lot better way to market it. All right, so one of the cool things I want to talk about also is, now we switch the screen back over to the micro console, these are not just games for grown-up kids and adults, but actually this is a great service for family stuff. So if I go into games here and scroll down, how about Lego Batman? Now, Lego Batman from Warner Brothers is a terrific game. I mean, the whole Lego series is awesome. But this one is just so much fun. I mean, it's cute. And suppose that you want to, first of all, rid Gotham of its worst criminals, which I will take care of here. But suppose you're on a business trip, and your kid wants to play this thing, and it's a two-player game you want to play with your son. Well, no problem. You could do that. And basically, whoops. Maybe he can play, but you can't. But you can play one side while he's playing the other side. I mean, it's just built into the way OnLive works. And it's terrific. You can talk to each other, etc. And I can jump down and take out these bad guys. Come on, Robin, I need a little help. All right. There you go. And one last one. All right, good.
This game generally is more Steve speed than Crisis.
Remember who got shot?
He did beat me, though, I know.
All right. So Batman is now going to sacrifice himself for the world into the goo. All right, cool. But it's Lego Batman, so I'm back alive. All right, anyways, I think you can see that this is a terrific product for a family. I mean, just imagine this. We can now tell parents and say, okay, kids, you have this many hours you can play, you have this much money you can spend, and you can play e-games. And you don't have to worry about not getting the right console the kids really want. You won't have to worry about the console getting obsolete or the PC gets obsolete, etc. You simply let the kids play the game safely. And they have a lot of fun. And that's what's great about OnLive. It just simplifies things, and it's perfect for publishers as well. So one of the things that Mike's about to show you actually is something that's pretty important to me. My team was there when we developed the multimedia technology that became the Color Macintosh. And one of the things that was always frustrating is the Macintosh just never got enough market share to become a great gamer machine. It's, the capability's there, it's just, there's not enough out there. I think we're going to fix that. Mike?
Absolutely. As Steve said, the Macintosh has been good for many things. Unfortunately, gaming hasn't been one of them. So as I did before, I'm on my desktop. I've got a client resident on the desktop I click on, connects me immediately, once again, to the same service that we've all shared. Your community, everything carries with you. Your friends, your purchases, from 3 devices seamlessly. Of course, as you come back into the system, you've got the opportunity to get back to your gaming experience more quickly. So I'll go back to my stuff once again. And I'm running on a MacBook, I think, as you can see. So I'll navigate down. Given it's springtime, I think we'll play a little ball from our friends at 2K Games. We've got MLB 2K9. So I've got a game which I've already purchased. So I'll go ahead and click play. And once again, the immediacy of accessing content. We want to take the purchase path and shrink it down. We want to bring that experience to the consumer more quickly. So here we go. I'm resuming a game that I've played before. I'll go ahead and be the Phillies.
Sports is obviously a spectator sport. So I'm going to click Arena, and sure enough, there's Go-To Guy. And I can watch him from my micro console, probably get his butt kicked.
So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and pitch. See if I can keep from beaning the batter. All right, we're going to a little fastball high and outside.
Swing and lined up the middle.
Oh, Mike, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, not so
that's-
good.
That was just rough luck.
All right,
rough
well,
luck.
my arm's not warmed up yet, so. Anyway, but I think you can see once again just the seamless transition from all three devices to get to your content. So, I'm going to pop out of there. As you can see, I think we've developed an incredible platform. What we wanted to do is really lower the barrier to entry in terms of development. So you can see these titles, which we have running in the system, have been brought up and ported to our platform very quickly. And of course, we're doing this because we want to support a publishing community. A platform is only as good as the games that you bring onto the platform. And so we're very proud to announce 10 publishing partners at GDC that are supporting the OnLive platform. And obviously without them, OnLive wouldn't be possible. So I just want to take a minute and navigate over to the showcase and just spend a minute. We haven't actually announced what our titles are for GDC that we'll be showing on the floor, but we do have a booth the next 3 days where we have 6 kiosks where you can all come and play 3 micro console kiosks, 2 PC and 1 Mac. So first of all, Electronic Arts. We've demoed Crisis up here, fabulous content from Electronic Arts. We have Burnout, Paradise as well, and Mirror's Edge. All 3 games will be playable tomorrow and for the next 3 days. From Ubisoft, you saw Prince of Persia. We also have The Wheelman and Tom Clancy's Hawks. From Take-Two, we just showed MLB 2K9. We'll also have BioShock from Take-Two. From our friends at Warner Brothers, we have Lego Batman, the video game, which Steve showed. We also have Fear 2, which we're very excited to show, Project Origin. From THQ, we've got Frontlines, Fuel of War, and Company of Heroes, Opposing Fronts. From Epic, we have Unreal Tournament 3. From Eidos, we have Tomb Raider Underworld. From Atari, we have Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. From Codemasters, we have Grid. And from 2D Boy, we have World of Goo. So I think an incredible lineup of partners that we're very proud to have support the platform. As I mentioned, in terms of trying to bring benefit to the development community and publishing community, we wanted to bring a very low opportunity cost platform so that we could get games on very quickly. As we all know, production costs for games are rising, and we really wanted to make it seamless for them to take their current content and hopefully widen the audience. Many of these games aren't playable on any device that is out in the market. So we really wanted to take the game market and widen it for our publishing partners. And with one binary, all of a sudden now you can access 3 different hardware devices, which has never been done before. The great thing about our platform is as a result of having a server-based, cloud-based solution, there's almost nothing resident on the client. So we eliminate piracy from the mix. And as we know, piracy is a bigger and bigger issue. So we're very excited as a result of the architecture of the platform to bring better economics to our content partners. And also, as Steve mentioned, we're eliminating the transitions, the constant need to upgrade. And I think even having talked to many of the journalists, so many people have been PC gamers before and have just stopped upgrading because it's too expensive to keep up with anything. Now we're taking a TV experience as plug and play and bringing it to hundreds of millions of PCs and Mac. And we think that's a great opportunity for our publishing partners to really reach a new audience. In terms of consumers, for the first time, you can access the same world and community across 3 different devices. In your living room with your micro console, or if you're on the road with your laptop, all your content's there, all your community there, all your friends are there. For the first time, we want to bring visual community to a platform. A lot of our friends out there have done a great job launching platforms with great community aspects, and they've certainly set the bar. We plan to support many of those things, but with our architecture, we're able to throw so many video streams and IP multicast that we literally can have hundreds of thousands of people watching other people play. And we think that's an element that gamers really will enjoy, and will bring more information to them to make better purchasing decisions. Speaking of such, valuable, flexible value proposition. We want to reduce the amount of money people are paying to get to their game experience today. Hardware is expensive, whether you're buying a graphics card or a console. Obviously, they come down over time. We want to lower that barrier to entry. We want that money to go towards people spending more on games. And as a result of being a direct-to-consumer proposition, we think there's more flexibility and offer innovative, flexible value propositions for our consumers. So we think there's tremendous advantages for both gamers and for our content partners.
All right. So We're getting close to wrapping up, and for something like this that is such a huge development effort, I mean, I've done some pretty complicated things in my career, and this was easily the most monumentally difficult and intricate technology problem. But it was also a big business problem. There was a lot of issues about who we worked with and how we could fit it into the existing model and try to leverage the industry as it currently exists. So at this point, the main thing I want to say is thanks. The first people I want to thank are the employees, contractors, and other people that have worked with OnLive over the years. And it's really hard when you're working the kind of hours we're working and as difficult as we're working, when you can't even tell your friends or some members of your family what you're doing. And the people stuck with it because they knew what we were doing had the chance to be transformative, to change everything. And they did it. The other folks I really want to thank are our investors. These are kind of tough economic times, but they believed what we were doing, and they stood by us through thick and through thin. And those investors include Warner Brothers, Autodesk, and Maverick Capital. So thank you. And then lastly, I really want to thank the publishers we worked with. I don't think people quite understand. You've been in the startup business the way I have been. You bring new paradigms into established industries. It's really hard to get people to think out of the box. What I love about the video game industry is that it's a blend of technology and art, but it's bleeding edge. They're always pushing the envelope. And we came to the publishers, we said, here's a new idea, and they listened. They gave us a chance. They said, all right, we'll give it a go. Let's see if we can make this work. And what we have now is something that's just absolutely incredible. So it's been years. And a lot of people at the publishers we've been talking to have been sticking by us for a long, long time to get us here. So again, thank you. So the last thing I want to say to everybody is that, you know what? If you don't believe that this stuff is real, if you think there's a man behind the curtain, in fact, there's several people behind the curtain. But
There are.
But if you think it's smoke and mirrors, you should be skeptical. This is pretty incredible stuff. And I can tell you, when we started out to develop it, my first thinking of it, it shouldn't work. But it theoretically could, and we stuck with it and got it to work. So what we'd like to do is invite you to our booth for the next 3 days of the Game Developer Conference. It's booth number 5128 in the North Hall. We've got micro consoles set up there, low-end PCs, and a Mac. And give it a go. Try it out. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you think. Blog your feedback or print it, whatever you like. All right? Because I think the benefits of what we're doing are so huge to the industry and consumers. I mean, look at independent publishers and developers and so forth. We've got to at least see if we can make this thing work. It's just too cool. So the other thing is, we're right now doing internal beta, and we're going to be, our OnLive.com website should be alive now. And if you go there, you can sign up for our external beta that will be starting this summer. There's never been anything like this before. What, a service where you can go and spectate on everybody on the service? Okay, so we need your feedback. We need to hear what you have to say about how you want the service structured. The external beta people are going to have a big impact on how this thing finally ends up. Please, we want to hear from you. And then finally, I do hope that a lot of you come and sign up for the service when we launch in winter 2009. I do think that this is primarily going to be expanding the video game market, offering new possibilities, bringing new people, and creating new opportunities for developers and publishers to do cool things. All right, and so with that, I want to say that before I close, we're going to have a Q&A for a few minutes after this. We'll have microphones handed around. Just raise your hand if you have some questions. And then after the event, or if you want to kind of, when we're all done with that, then of course we have a reception in the atrium. Okay, so now I get to say my last couple of words. We think that this moment, this day here, is remembered as the beginning of a new era. I mean, this is transparent cloud computing for those of you more geek inclined. It is cloud computing, but the user can't tell it's cloud computing. Think through the implications of that, all right? It is huge. And this is one really, really important thing that we're doing for the industry. And we think we're going to open up creativity just by floodgates and allow for new kinds of experiences and new kinds of expression than has ever been available before. So think hard. Look at our SDK and give it a try. And think out of the box. This is an out-of-the-box thing. Help us make it out of the box, all right? Anyways, on behalf of OnLive and all the people that have worked so hard to bring this to you, thank you very much for coming.
Well done.
So Mike, are we giving one of these away to somebody who has the right number under their seat?
We do. There'll be a raffle later for one of those to take home.
All right. So we'd love to have some questions. Great. Can we get a microphone here?
If you just stand up to ask a question, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
As you might be able to tell, I'm from Australia. So
All right.
this is a really novel concept, and obviously if it works, it's fantastic. But being so far away from everything, and even within North America, latency has to come as an issue on this to a point. How far away will this actually work from the server network?
So you're absolutely right. What you're talking about is the speed of light through fiber, which is what is the backbone of the internet. And OnLive will work with a data center that's about 1,000 miles away through cable modem or DSL connections. We can probably get up to about 1,500 miles away with fiber. We currently have, for beta, 2 service centers operating, a third one that's right now being outfitted in the Midwest, with one East Coast and West Coast. This presentation here and the GDC presentation is serving off of our Santa Clara service center, which is about 50 miles away from here. So it's funny, we've demoed it to some people in Australia just for fun, and you can kind of play the games, but you do see the lag. It's the speed of light that we're dealing with here. Now, we are working on that. We're going to see if we can somehow go faster than the speed of light. We haven't solved it yet. But if we do solve it, I think there'll be some things we can do beyond just video games.
And as Steve said, we're focusing on the North American market for our launch, and then we'll
Yeah.
certainly scale out internationally.
Absolutely. Yeah?
Maggie Shields, GDC. Can you talk to me about pricing structures and pricing models?
Sure. Well, given that we're just announcing the company and the technology, we're not going into specifics about our business model. What we are saying is there will be a subscription for monthly access to the service, and then we're working with our publishing partners on various different pricing methods. Obviously, you saw just a few illustrative examples that we showed here. But over time, as we get closer to launch, we'll announce the full package in terms of what pricing will be for both access and for content. But I think the one key thing to understand is there's an incredible amount spent on hardware purchases. And as we come into the market with our pricing proposition, we'll be able to significantly reduce the amount of investment people need to make in that hardware to have very high production gaming. And so therefore, we think our value proposition will be very compelling.
One thing I'll add to that, our cost of operation is dramatically less than that of any other means of delivering video games. You think about it, a typical system in your home, no matter what it is not playing video games most of the time. Whereas the OnLive system, we have a server and someone plays it for a while and then they go offline, then somebody else goes online. They now can take advantage of that same resource. And through other things like virtualization, for some lower end games, say Lego Batman as an example, we can have multiple copies of that running on one system. So our cost of operation is much lower, which creates a situation where we can offer a very good value proposition to the consumer. Yeah.
There's a mic just so you know.
Eric Bonnard with CT Magazine from Germany. I think you said you're going to work with a data center partner. Does that mean you're going to be outsourcing the whole data center infrastructure to someone, or are you going to be building and operating some of the capacity yourself?
So the physical plants of the data center, we're using colos, co-locations, where there's lots of servers there for other companies and the air conditioners and all that stuff. Then what we do is we move in our racks, which are very specialized. I mean, I wish it was easy enough that we could go and just take servers that are in current data centers, but they're not suited for what we're doing for a whole bunch of reasons. For one thing, none of them have GPUs, so right there we've got an issue. The second thing is, generally when data centers are put up, when they talk about the connection between the server getting out to the internet, they worry about milliseconds, okay? We worry about microseconds. I mean, literally, all the paths and all the different routing is that critical. Now, that said, we very specifically designed OnLive so it can be scaled. So we literally just move a rack with a bunch of equipment in it, snap it in, put in a plug, and hook up gigabit Ethernet, put them in one by one, and we can keep scaling indefinitely, and everything you saw back there just grows. I mean, literally, if you have the top player playing a baseball game, probably not Mike, then you can have a billion people viewing them.
So this is something you have built yourself and you just move into a co-location?
The question was, is this something that we have built ourselves, or are we just moving into a co-location? And yes, we have designed, these are
Systems.
Yes, we've designed systems. I mean, the servers are unlike any servers that have ever been built before. They happen to be very inexpensive, for what they are, but they have GPUs. They also have a board in there that, OnLive we had to design hardware in addition to software and servers and network technology, et cetera. We have a lot of stuff that we had to create in order to make this work. So they are specialized servers, but they're designed to be scalable.
John?
So I have two questions. One is, you haven't talked about distribution partners, so I wonder if you could talk about whether cable and telco is involved here and related to the billing thing. That's the first one. The second one is with a console launch, there's like a $100 million launch budget. There's a date that everybody looks forward to for 2 years, that sort of thing. So maybe talk about how you get everybody's attention.
Sure.
You might want to repeat that question.
Sure. So for the first question is, what is our distribution strategy, and are we going to partner with any of the cable or DSL operators? And so in terms of our distribution strategy for the service, obviously we're relying on bandwidth, and we've had many discussions with all the people that are carriers, and we have transit deals in place with those carriers to make sure that we're getting our bits to our consumers out there. In terms of specific bundling and packaging with those carriers, it's certainly an option. I think we're at the stage right now where we're not making definitive decisions how we're going to bundle up something with a carrier. I think the great thing about what we showed you today is the day that we offer the service, there are so many low-end PCs without GPUs and Macintoshes that now become an installed base of game system on day one that all they need to do is access OnLive.com and download a 1 meg browser plugin. So I think the accessibility of our platform is going to be like no other was before. I'm not specific on the number, but it'll be over 100 million users now that can play high-end gaming with a browser plugin that never could before. And that's before we move one of those boxes, whether it's selling it, giving it away, or distributing it. So I think we've got an incredible addressable market on day one that for our content partners is expanding the market. Because whether it's Electronic Arts, and Crytek, there are almost no laptops of that sort that can play that game out there, nor can any of the retailers sell that consumer a video game either. So we really think there's a great market expansion opportunity as we launch the service. In terms of our marketing spend, once again right now, I think we're kind of in the middle of a console cycle, and obviously the hardware partners out there are selling hard. People who are on those platforms are committed to those platforms. I think we offer a lower barrier to entry for people who've maybe not yet made purchases or decisions on that. But really for us, it's as Steve said, we're at the stage where we're in beta, we're evolving the system. We do know on day one, without having to move any hardware or any distribution, there's an incredible installed base of users for us to access.
Any other questions? Or you guys just want to get to the drinks?
We've got one more here.
Yeah, hi, Akila Talamasca from BigDownload.com. Normally in multiplayer games or in MMOs, you would have to pick a particular server if you want to play with your friends.
Right.
But the way that you showed it here, it looked pretty invisible. Is that sort of thing going to be common where you won't necessarily have to pick a server, or how does that whole thing work if you want to play just with your friends, or you know what I mean?
So we have the flexibility to do either. I mean, one of the nice things about OnLive is that if we want to, we can create a situation where you create a clan or a group or a league or something, and you just play with your friends, and those are the people who are allowed to connect, and anybody else, they can't. Or you can make it so that it's one of the things that you join up, or maybe you need to be at a certain level to play in order to join up. Basically, the world is your oyster as a developer to go and set it up the way you want to. The other thing you got to remember, these servers that are running the games, they're not spread out across the internet with unpredictable DSL and cable modem lines and unknown latency from one user to another. I mean, one of the big things you look at when you're playing a video game is what's my ping, and can I have other people with a similar amount of latency? No, that all goes away. Everybody has got sub 1 millisecond latency from server to a centralized server that's doing the MMOG. Then the OnLive delivers the service through their DSL or cable modem or fiber connection. So you immediately realize that you've got not only extremely fast connectivity, but you've got gobs of bandwidth that can go between these servers. So a lot of the stuff you don't think about doing that requires a big download to the individual users, like if you have user-generated content that has a lot of geometry or something, you suddenly have that option at your fingertips as well. So we're just so excited about all the ideas that people are coming to us with. It's like, yeah, you can do that. It's like a big LAN party.
Any more questions?
Yeah, we got one over there.
Actually, I had a follow-up from that one. So if someone's connected to the East data center and then someone's connected to the West, they've still got that lag. There's not going to be like a LAN-based game there, right? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
So you won't be able to go and, working on the speed of light problem, but barring a solution to that, you won't be able to go and do a lag-sensitive multiplayer game that stretches across the U.S. no matter what. I mean, if you have people, I think in time, the last mile we have to deal with could introduce as much as 25 milliseconds of latency. You don't know. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 25, but we allow for the worst case. I think as we begin to see that last mile evolve, it's going to get to be a smaller and smaller number. At that point, you'll have, say, 1,500 miles where you can go. At 1,500 miles, then we can set up one service center in the center of the country, and yes, the whole United States becomes one LAN party. Where things are today, you're probably going to have East Coast and West Coast and central LAN parties.
And just the other question was, the box unit, it doesn't have a standard def output
I forgot
on
to
it.
mention
It's only
that.
got HDMI.
Yes, so we didn't want to go and, because all the TVs are being built with HDMI now, and so we didn't want to go and kind of burden the box with all sorts of connectors for the analog sets. So we'll offer a little, cable that comes out if somebody wants to get it that breaks out to the analog connectors if you have a legacy TV. I can't believe I'm actually saying that, a legacy TV that has analog connectors.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Our
Yeah,
friend from Australia.
sure. Yeah.
The last question I have, would this allow people to play PC versus TV, so to speak?
Oh, great question.
Absolutely. PC versus Mac, PC and Mac versus television. We were accessing the same community, the same games from all different devices. Now, some games may only be mouse and keyboard, and therefore, a strategy game may not have joypad support. So that might be something you can't access from your television. You won't even be merchandised that game if you just identify as a controller player. So, but absolutely, that's one of the things we wanted to really push is that now all of a sudden you can interact with users from all different hardware devices in one community. And we think that's incredibly exciting.
Some of the feedback we've gotten is that as people are getting more and more laptops, particularly students are getting very small laptops. They're lightweight, carrying in your knapsack, et cetera. Well, they don't have much of a GPU if they have any GPU at all. And so when they're home, they're like heavy-duty gamers playing these really cool games because they've either got a console or some sort of a PC that can take a GPU. Then they go to school. Well, they're getting their television now on their laptop. They got plenty of bandwidth, but they can't play any of the games. Well, now if you go home on vacation, you can play these games on your TV set through the micro console. You go back to school, you just continue where you left off. You got your same, rankings, the same people you play with, et cetera. We're just making it transparent. And again, for publishers, developers, it's like you got one SKU, it reaches all your users, and they can go from machine to machine, and you don't have to go and deal with all the compatibility issues. It's just such a cleaner way of doing things. And when you have cleaner, it makes it much more cost effective and allows and opens the door for far more creativity. Yeah.
It's kind of difficult to understand to which extent you depend on cooperation with the ISPs. Do I have to be on a certain ISP to get your service with full quality?
You don't. And that's something that we spent a lot of time working on. There's science back here, perceptual science issues. There's a lot of technology development and so on. But then there's a ton of practical engineering. I mean, to get this thing to really work on consumer connections, we not only were dealing with the realities of the high variability between different types of consumer connections, be they DSL cable or fiber, but we also were dealing with this thing that's in your home. Who knows what firewall you have, when it was built and installed, what kind of router, et cetera. So we've gone into hundreds of homes. And just measured things, and every time something didn't work or it got stuck, it was crazy. Everything would be working fine. We go into someone's home, and we're finding out that it was getting laggy. So we track it back. We found out that a certain packet structure was getting stuck in this particular brand of firewall. Who knows why? And we kind of pad out the packet until finally it flowed through. So the stuff that's being sent from OnLive is this very, very pure form of IP data, which has been, what can I say? It's just boom, boom, boom. You go from one place to another until you try it in enough things. Then you get to the point where every home you try it in, it works very, very well. There are going to be situations where some ISPs just have a lot of lag, or there's other issues. Maybe there's some sort of pinch in your wire, you never noticed it before. But if you've got an ISP like that and you're a gamer, you've already noticed the fact that you've got latency issues and you've got high packet loss issues that are affecting whether or not it records some gameplay you're doing. But generally speaking, if you've got a decent 1.5 megabit or 5 megabit connection, you're golden. And you know what? If you've got if you've seen them, people are getting 15 megabit connections. You can play OnLive on your TV while your brother or your sister, your friend is playing OnLive on the PC, all on the same connection. We very often are giving demos where we have 3 things going on one home connection. It's just awesome.
So we have time for one more question. If there was, way up in the back. Tiffany can get up there.
Thank you. To kind of dovetail that last question, we are in the age of bandwidth caps with BitTorrent and all of that. How do you get around, say, 150 gig a month cap on Comcast?
So I haven't seen that number. I've seen 250 gig, but maybe there is 150 gig a month. So let's talk about the amount of bandwidth that we actually use. First of all, from an ISP's point of view, and believe me, we've spoken to most of the major ones to tell them about what we're doing. And from an ISP's point of view, we're actually a pretty good citizen. We've got a very high-speed connection downstream and extremely low-speed connection upstream. And a lot of the issues they've been running into with congestion has been for peer-to-peer systems who have a lot of bandwidth upstream and about as much bandwidth as you get downstream. So the amount of bandwidth we're using, it's not a download where it's trying to get a giant, maximize what we can get out of the pipe all the time. When I say that a 5 megabit connection is needed for HDTV, and we're kind of counting on it probably having a 4 megabit speed, really, that's the peak we need. Most of the time, you're well below that. For a lot of what you're looking at, you're running in the hundreds of kbits per second, and it's hard to say exactly what the average is. It depends on what you're doing, but it's probably somewhere around 2 megabits per second for HDTV. Well, Nielsen says that the average gamer spends about 60 hours a month. You go figure out 60 hours times 2 megabits per second, and you're well underneath that bandwidth cap that you were just talking about. So we don't think that we're going to run into that, at least the numbers that we've seen so far. If there is an issue, my guess is they'll probably offer, because as I said, we are a pretty good citizen from their point of view, and we probably are something that motivates somebody to upgrade to a higher speed connection. I'm sure that some sort of reasonable thing can be worked out, but it hasn't come up so far. All right.
Great. Well, once again, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming. Please join us for drinks in the reception.
All right. Crew, great job.